Hello English 102 online students. I hope you're all doing well. This week we're going to be moving from doing research and learning about MLA or APA documentation styles into taking those resources that you've collected in the last week or two, taking those MLA and APA citation rules that you've learned about, and we're going to put them together into your next essay assignment. So if we click here on our Welcome tab, which we were already in, I guess, and then course information, we'll go ahead and download our course calendar so we can take a quick peek at what's coming up for week 9. All right, so let's get that open. And we'll scroll down to where we are. So as you see, we have 2 assignments, both of which are in the Module 6 folder. So we're moving on through our modules. The first assignment that you'll work on is assignment 6.2, which is an example of a critical response essay, and then you'll actually work on your own draft of the same kind of essay. So we'll go through both assignments. So going back into our classroom area, we'll head into Module 6, and everything that you need for the critical response essay is located in this folder. So the first of the assignments that you'll work on, you already worked on assignment 6.1 last week, so you got familiar with writing summaries and responses by looking at the online textbook from Bay College. And then this week you're actually going to take a look first at an example of a critical response essay. And that assignment is due along with the draft next Sunday, October 18th by 11:59 p.m. So you'll see attached to this assignment 6.2, there are 2 versions of the same sample essay. One is an MLA version, one is an APA version. And by now, some of you are kind of deciding which path you would like to take, if you want to do the rest of your assignments in MLA style, or if APA style would be more useful to you. If you are an education or nursing major, I strongly recommend doing APA just because you'll benefit more from that as you leave this course and go on to other courses in your major. You're going to be using that style all the time. If you're not sure what style you're going to be using in the future, just pick the one that's most comfortable for you. But in the end, it's your choice. So you'll just choose one of those documents, and just for the example, I'm going to click on the MLA version, since that's probably the style more students are immediately familiar with. And so this sample essay that you see here is about the education system, and this is, I believe, related to the curiosity exploration essay sample that you read earlier in the semester. That student also wrote about her interest in and passion for education because she was going to become a math teacher, so she decided she wanted to write about gradeless classrooms. So all the samples that I'm including here are kind of related to each other, so that way you see how a topic proceeds from writing about it as an area of curiosity in the beginning of the semester, conducting research on it, and then writing the rest of the essay assignments based on all that previous work that was done. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and open up all my comments, change this to all markup, and as you can see, there are some margin comments that ask you different questions about different sections of this essay. So just as an example, number 1 here asks, how would you evaluate the attention getter and background information in this first paragraph? Would you make any changes? Why or why not? So you can go ahead and insert your own comment to that by simply, let me just space over here. You can just change it to a different color, whatever color works for you that makes it stand out. I'll just pick red. Now I think this attention getter is blah 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 blah. I'm gonna put in my evaluation there. There isn't necessarily a right or wrong answer to this. It's almost like you're doing a peer review of this student's essay, but without, doing it for real, as if it were a real assignment taking place right now. The goal of this is that you can see how another student approached this. I think she approached it successfully, so you can learn from her example. And before you get into looking at the guidelines for your own critical response essay, you're going to have some sense of what this is all about, what the goal of this essay is all about. And as you go down further to the other questions, it's asking you different details that are included. It's asking you about the thesis statement. Does it seem like a strong thesis statement for this type of essay? Would you make improvements to it? Why or why not? So you're going to be giving your opinion as a reader to this essay throughout. So all you have to do is go through, read the essay, look at the prompts on the right margin, and just go ahead and add your comments. So like I said, this is going to help to prepare you for your own essay draft. And this one is about 3.5 pages in total. You can also go ahead and take a look at her works cited page. For this assignment, and we'll go through the guidelines in just a moment, for the works cited page or the references page, whichever style you choose to do, you're only required to cite one source, and that's the article that you choose to read and respond to for this assignment. This student also chose to include a couple of other sources. This is not a full research paper, however. This is just a reaction or a response to one article, one argumentative article about your topic. So you are certainly not required to bring in a bunch of other sources. But if you feel like you need to mention something, you need to bring in a statistic somewhere, or there's just something that you have heard of in your topic area that you want to bring in related to this one article, you can do it. It's not prohibited. But you're really only required to cite one source, which is just the article that you're reviewing. So don't think of this as a full research paper. It's just a response to one source about your topic. Okay, so let's come out of there and go back to our Module 6 folder. So once you're finished giving all of your comments to that sample essay, all you have to do is just click on the 6.2 link and just upload your completed commented article right there before next Sunday, October 18th. All right, the other part that we'll look at is the guidelines for this critical response essay. So the critical response essay, as you'll see in the beginning of the description of the assignment, is kind of the next step from the curiosity essay. So as it tells us in the overview, you've written a personal essay about your own curiosity. You responded informally to a classmate's curiosity essay. And in all that time, since the curiosity essay to now, you've been kind of thinking about and refining your topic and thinking about what directions to take it in. You've done some research on it. So now we're at the next logical step, which would be to write an academic response to an academic argument about your topic. Okay, so it's really similar to summary response essays that you would see in other kinds of courses that you're going to take throughout your college career. So what you're doing here is preparing you for lots of other assignments to come later on in your academic life. Okay, your audience will mainly be me and a general academic audience. We're not going to do a peer review for this assignment since everybody's going to choose a different article. Not everybody will have had a chance to read every other student's article. We're just going to keep this between the instructor and the student and any person who might read your essay someday. Okay, so the goals of this essay are to accurately summarize an article using the conventions of academic summary, and you learned about that in assignment 6.1 last week, to provide a focused response to the article with a clear thesis statement. You'll see that in the successful student essay. She did and she didn't, in some ways, have a really successful thesis statement. So I'll be asking you to look out for that. And to develop your response using examples from your personal experience that are clearly related to examples or ideas from the article itself. Okay, so to get started with this, you're going to examine and evaluate a critical essay or article about your ongoing research topic. So the article that you choose should be putting forth an argument of some kind, an opinion, a claim, an assertion about your topic. And so you have to make sure that that article contains something like that before you go forward with it. So the article you choose to write about is up to you. So you've already done some research and you've collected some sources. So maybe from among the sources you have, from the research notes chart that you did, like about a week and a half ago, you might have something in there that would work well for this assignment. Maybe you have something else in your files on your computer that you didn't put in your research notes chart, but that would still work well for this assignment. Or you may need to go out and do a little bit more research. All of those are possibilities. Okay, so the article should be one that contains arguments that you find compelling, persuasive, and/or problematic, since you'll engage closely with its content and structure. Okay, so below in this chart, I've given you some examples of places where you could look for articles, if you haven't already done a lot of this by this point. So you can check academic or scholarly journals. Often, though, for an essay of this type, many of the articles that you'll find in academic or scholarly journals are going to be research studies. They may be, depending on your topic, very complex with lots of data and statistics. So, just look at the type of research article that you're coming up with. Some of them may be more suitable to this type of essay assignment than others. If you think that there's something about the study that you're looking at in that article, something about the research design that seems to be lacking or is particularly strong, you could definitely use an article from an academic journal. But I definitely do think you need to be comfortable with the content that's in that article. If it seems like it's full of data tables and it's hard for you to interpret some of that information, don't feel obligated to use a very complex article like that. You can definitely also look at newspaper articles, magazine articles, but definitely consider the academic journal articles as well. It depends on how accessible it is to you and if it really has an argument in it or a research design or something else that you want to comment on. Okay, as I tell you here, if you choose a source from the other column, like TED Talks or blog posts or even YouTube videos, it must come from a credible expert in your topic area and must cover the topic thoroughly. So you wouldn't want to just pick a 2-minute YouTube video that's a general overview. We don't even know who's speaking on the topic. That wouldn't be appropriate. So if you're thinking about a source from the other column, the one that has TED Talks, blog posts, and YouTube videos, I would definitely recommend asking me about it first before you proceed, because you don't want to put a lot of work into it just to find out that it isn't really a great source. Okay, so a critical response essay contains 2 main elements: an accurate but concise summary of the essay's main arguments and a critical evaluation of the essay or article. Okay, so I've given you some tips here about putting together or preparing for the summary and the evaluation analysis section of your essays. For the summary part, definitely think back to the annotation exercise you did earlier in the semester. You definitely want to go through your article, read it a few times, annotate, ask questions in the margins, highlight key points, make comments about ideas that stand out to you or that may seem really strong or really weak in some way. And all of that is going to help you put together a great summary. In the evaluation analysis section, you could also call this a response. Think about how you would evaluate the ideas in the article or essay. So what are some of the strengths and weaknesses of specific arguments or moments? Mark any passages that really stand out to you for different reasons. And after you look at those details, take a step back and think about how you would evaluate the article as a whole. That will help you with your thesis statement. So if the article has some weaknesses, is it persuasive overall? Maybe the article has some intriguing points, but it lacks evidence in a place or two or has an unconvincing analysis. And so all that will help you kind of piece together a good thesis statement. Okay, and as I did mention here again, you're only required to cite the article that you're reviewing, but if you need to cite an outside source or two, if it would help you advance your argument, you can do that. Okay, so organization, I suggest starting with your introduction, giving some background information on the topic as the writer in the sample essay does, and end the introduction with your thesis statement, which should evaluate or which should demonstrate your evaluation of the essay. Okay. The summary portion of your paper should present the key elements of the essay that you identified during pre-writing, like the annotation stage, with textual evidence to illustrate those points. According to the author in the article, he or she argues that. Try to use some good kind of linking language like you'll see in the example essay to introduce quotes and paraphrases into your summary. Okay, the evaluation analysis portion should engage closely with a few specific points or passages in the essay and should make different claims about them. So is it persuasive? Is it not persuasive? Is there evidence lacking? Does it have everything it needs to convince readers of the point that the author is trying to make? And then in your conclusion, you'll take a step back and give your overall evaluation of the article. So if you found the essay's arguments problematic, what do you think the author could have done differently to resolve those problems? If the article was persuasive and insightful, what made it that way overall? Who do you think would benefit from reading the article? So as I've already mentioned, you'll be looking at a sample essay before you begin writing your own, so that will help you get familiar with what's expected of you for this essay. And then finally, as far as assignment requirements and other details, the final version of your essay is going to be 3 to 4 pages in 12-point Times New Roman font, either MLA or APA style. And you can follow the example of the successful essay because you can choose the style that you want to format your own essay in. And of course there are templates too in the general course documents folder in My Classroom, so you can look in both places. The draft, which is the version that you'll submit by next Sunday, is 1.5 to 2 pages. So you need at least a page and a half to get some useful commentary from me that will help you go forward to the final version. Okay, you will need an MLA or references APA page for this essay. And of course, you're not required to go beyond the source that you're actually responding to, but you can include others. Please do include that with your draft so I can give you feedback on it. Because if you've made a mistake in your citation, I can tell you that, and then you can correct it for the final version. And as I mentioned before, think of this assignment as a continuation of your research process as you work toward the final essay in the course, the Problem Solution Research Report. And so you considered different topics in your first essay, you've done lots of research on that topic, and now you're going to start to write critically about that topic in the second essay assignment. And you're developing expertise in your topic. That's really one of the big goals of our course, is that you become like an expert and you know much more about your topic than you did before. Okay, so the drafts and final versions you'll submit in the Module 6 folder, so Critical Response Essay Draft, you see right here. When you get to the point of submitting your final version, you'll also find that here in the Module 6 folder. And then finally, we're almost there. The due date, of course, is next Sunday, October 18th, and you'll submit it at the link that I showed to you. Use the time between the 18th and Sunday, November 1st to get feedback on your essay. You can drop into my office hours, you can set up a time outside of those hours. If those don't work for you for some reason, you can send me questions by email. You can also go to the Writing Center. I've had a few students report back to me that they've done that and have had some good success with it. You can do it in person or virtually. And you do earn extra credit, so you can get up to 10 points of extra credit on your lowest essay grade if you've done up to 2 Writing Center visits. Okay, as far as grading, it's the same rubric that we used for the narrative or for the curiosity exploration essay. I'll be using the same rubric throughout the course, so there's lots of consistency there. And you should have seen your rubrics attached to your grades for the curiosity exploration essays, and it will be the same procedure for this one. So when you go in My Grades and you see the little comment bubble next to a grade for any assignment that's entered there, all you have to do is open it up and you'll see the rubric linked there. Okay, so I think that is pretty much everything for this week. You just have those 2 assignments, 6.2 and the Critical Response Essay Draft. And drafts, don't be afraid of them. It's just a first try on an essay. As long as you submit it by the due date and you've got at least a page and a half of content there, you will get 100% on that assignment. The goal is really just to give you a chance to get feedback and to make improvements for the final version. So I hope it all goes successfully, and if you have any questions, just let me know. Have a great week.